What's up, guys? This is Spraggy back with Poker VIP for part 3 of the Coral Speed series. We are going to be hammering out some very quick speed action here today. We're going to see if we can try and lag it up a little bit for this short 15-minute burst of an episode. Let's start with a 3-bet of ace-10 off here, effectively versus a cutoff open. And we're going to go with a raise with 10-8 off in the big blinds. We're going to play for 15 minutes for the video, try and get ourselves into some interesting situations and see how the games deal with it, or deal with me, or how I deal with them, I guess. So it should be a lot of fun. We're going to come in for another 3-bet. Actually, we're not. We've got the big blind here behind us. Short stack. We'll just move out of the way. A couple of, I think, once again, I'm going to mark this guy up as a regular. See him at a couple of the tables. We're not going to squeeze here. Queen Jack of Diamonds would have been close if this guy didn't come along on the button. I think against an €8 stack, we're probably fine to just call even out of the small blind. We don't want to be calling too much in the small blind, but here would have been okay, one would imagine. And going to defend the ace-7 of clubs versus whatever comes our way. But we get the walk. 2 tens on the left-hand side, we're definitely going to get involved. A7 off's a little bit weak to open here. We do get a call from Peg on the button. I'm going in blind. I know nothing about this guy. We're going to start with a check on the flop. And we're going to check the turn again. And we're going to try and get a little bit of value at the river now. Once our opponent checks back pretty quickly twice. Pretty sure 10 is going to be the best hand. We'll try and bluff catch turn anyway. I don't think it would be sensible to check fold against him. Whenever we see a limp under the gun, I would start by giving this like a suspected fish sort of tag. Not many like good regulars you would expect to just call in the first position. So we're going to put a load of green tags on people who we think might be a little bit weaker. No judgments though. And I'll come along for the price with the suited hand. But I don't think we want to get too involved here. I mean, we definitely could. We have some backdoors. I did say we were going to get a little bit loose this video. Let's see if we can put some pressure on here. We'd barrel a 9, a jack, a diamond. I don't think a 5. I don't think a 5 of hearts. We don't pick up any improvements. Backdoor equity. I think maybe a king we can barrel as well. And I think just giving up here now once we get called on the flop. And we get shown the 8-6 of spades, which definitely wasn't going to fold turn, potentially not even river, given he was a weaker player who limped. But given the fact that he limped the 8-6 suited under the gun, probably, like I say, a little bit recreational. Left-hand side would be a reasonable candidate for a 3-bet, especially against someone we know from previous videos in this series that he's a regular. Seems to always be in these games. And we're going to go with an open on the button. We're just going to min open, I think is good. A little bit too loose to open here with the king 9 off. I think we'll fold it. These games definitely look pretty juicy though. I mean, lots of people who aren't in for the full €20, so that should serve us well. Left hand side, we're going to 3-bet the jacks blind v blind. Again, it's against a guy who's not in for full amount. We're just going to go to 8 bigs. And I think we're going to 3-bet the king jack suited as well, 4-handed here. We want to go a little bit bigger out of position. So that we will do against nonsense. Again, you could certainly make an argument for calling against a weaker player, but with Remember Me behind, we give incentive for him to squeeze a little bit too much. So I think folding or 3-betting is going to be a little bit more favourable. We're going to check call the flop. I don't think we want to start inflating the pot here with what is definitely a medium strength hand at this point. Our opponent can still have a decent amount of aces, but if he's got something like 7-8, we're so far ahead, we don't really need to bet our hand for protection. Definitely going to call one, but most likely folding rivers, and definitely going to fold this diamond river. Should he bet again? Definitely folding to the jam. Going to call in position on the left against Remember Me. Hand plays perfectly well with position, very decently strong hand. I don't think we really want to 3-bet and get 4-bet. Hand's strong enough to call. Right hand side, I just spoke about the games being good. This guy's all in for €12.74. Big raise that, mate. Not for me with the 7-8 clubs. But we'll definitely float here on the left hand side. And we will carry on betting with the Jack 10. And we're going to be looking to barrel a 7, an 8, a Queen. Probably not a 5. Definitely not a 5. But a King, basically a 7, an 8, a Jack, a 10, a King. But not this one. We're just going to come with a check fold. And Ace 10 will just check behind. We've got a very decent amount of showdown value. And we pick up a double gutter on the turn. We lose to Ace Jack. We lose to some pairs. I don't hate bluffing with this hand now. We're going to get some pairs to fold by the river. I don't think he has a queen too often. We certainly can have a queen that checks behind. A lot of the time we just fold out a hand weaker than our own. But we're occasionally going to fold out slightly better, to the point where I think betting's a slightly better option. Yeah, 4-5 of clubs out of position, not a particularly ideal 3-bet candidate. We will open blind v blind. I think we're going to fold to this 3-bet on the button as well. We want to be, if we can defend suited connectors there for sure to the 3-bet, especially in position, but I think 5-4 just a little bit weak. I'd probably start somewhere around 7-8 suited. And we do get called. Not a particularly good board for us to bet. I think we just check fold this one. We've got lots of way better hands to be getting involved with. Our opponent checks behind. And we're just giving up here with a 5-high, I think, even though we turn a gut shot. And we'll take a flop on the right. And likewise, I don't think we can bluff this river. Opponent, given the check back, I would expect some sort of showdown value. That could include, 10-9s, 7-9 suited, etc. He's never going to fold 2 pair. He probably won't even fold 1 pair. We're not going to get involved. Right hand side, we'll just check behind. In a limp pot with our 2, just happy to take showdown, I think. And he does end up winning the King 5, which obviously is one of the hands that can fold. We could have folded out, but with such poor equity on the flop, very few opportunities for us to barrel. I don't think c-betting is going to be good. Left hand side, we'll go with a raise with the Ace 4 of clubs. And most likely playing the King on the right. I do have a note on this one. C-bets 8s on the Ace King 5. So we had this note from a previous video that he bets flops very depolarized, which means he's c-betting almost all of his range, I would imagine. So we can look at it to try and exploit that later on. We're going to raise up here. We'll just go 8 big blinds over the min raise. And left hand side we flop. Not quite the nuts, I guess, but as close to as you like. We're going to put some money in here. We do get called. I think we want to c-bet this texture pretty small with the kings. So that is what we'll do. And a really good card for us on the turn here. That's going to improve him a lot of the time. So I think we're just going to bet pot. And bet the river for value. I mean, it's kind of close. Right hand side, we're just betting again with the kings. This is kind of close. I think probably going to have to be a bet fold. I just don't see him bluffing here. If we bet 7, we're going to get called by Ace Jack, Jack 10. I would imagine some smaller flushes, but if he jams, we're just up against a boat almost always. But we do manage to extract value. Left hand side, I think, is a pretty clear bet fold. But we'd have to go really small. I think it would have to be something like 4. Kind of hard for him to have too many bluffs here. I don't expect too many players on Coral to be turning something like Ace 10 with the Ace of Clubs into a bluff here. I think they're more likely to just click call. So we're just going to bet small. There's not too many hands to induce a raise from. And he rivers the nut flush and calls 4 euros. So, obviously, if he did raise, we would have been toast. But I still think I like trying to get value there. He apparently doesn't with the nut flush. Just opting to call a 3rd pot size bet. But that's all right. We should probably take a note of that, I suppose. And left-hand side, we're going to fold the queen and the 8. So we can take a look what we did get called by once I managed to work out the hand history replayer here. Oops, I'll give it some oops since I can't find the replayer. And the Ace 4 of clubs got called off by King 3 of clubs, so he actually flopped the 2nd nut flush and just called down, which I think is fair on the paired river there, on the paired turn rather. Important to note that, like I said, that we would fold if he shoved the river. And given the fact that he only called the river with the second nut flush, certainly seems like the river would have to be a fold if he jammed. We're just going to see exclusively full houses there. Really dry board on the right. I wouldn't mind floating here, like with a queen nine of diamonds, but I think this is just going to end up being a fold, even for half pot. Need a little bit more in the backdoor equity, I would imagine, to want to defend there. Obviously, we'd call all our ace highs, we'd call all our pairs. Left-hand side, we'll have a defend. We see a limp under the gun from Alex Cat, the suspected fish clown here. We do want to be ISO in these really wide, and I think going as wide as 6 of 7 of hearts is fine. We can definitely float one with a 7-8. Actually, probably not with the 2 unders and only a gut shot. We don't really have implied odds either, since he only has €7, so we shall give it up. On this board, I am going to c-bet, but it's going to be like ridiculously small. It's going to be like 60 cents. We just want to get him to fold like Jack 10 and hands like that. But I think just one and dunning what is a pretty dry board. His range for limping is going to be so wide. He just misses this more often than not. We can just get the fold, even though we have 6 high and very little equity in the pot. Going to fold here. Going to play the Jack 10 of diamonds from the button though. We'll go with a min open. Been a story of flushes so far, I guess. With our guy over on the right-hand side rivering a flush and just calling, and flush versus flush on the left. Let's hope this is another one coming over here on table 1. We just flop a gut shot straight flush draw. So it seems like a good time to put some money in. If we get raised, I think it's really hard for us to make a mistake here. We could either call or we could 3-bet. I think just 3-bet getting it in would be reasonable. With that said, I think if we call in position, we're going to encourage Flingbo to come along as well, which gives a little bit of added value into the pot. Given he wasn't in full, I think maybe he is the recreational player at the table. So I think we are just going to call here and have him come along with like a king-queen hand or a king-10 hand. That's going to add a little bit more value to the pot this turn. Obviously, doing wonders for my hand. Right-hand side, we flop the nuts. In a limp pot, I think it's best just to pot. Now, our opponent's range for raising here is going to be pretty strong, I would imagine. Some strong pairs, draws, sets, 2-pair, king-9, pocket 2s. So we should just be looking to max value from those on the turn. We're just going to bet. Obviously, checking here would be criminally bad. Right-hand side, we're just going to put money in. Unfortunately, we do turn the flush and get 2 folds. And we've set up here against the short stack just to be able to whack it in on the river. And we get paid off by... I will show you in a minute, I guess. We get paid off by 2-5, which was second pair on the flop, third pair on the turn, and rivered bottom 2 pair. But you can hardly blame him for the €5 he had, I suppose. Left-hand side, we get shoved on for €8.50, and we'll just let it go. These games, let me tell you, these games seem good. These games seem very, very good on Coral. Four-handed again, we will open the king-9 of hearts. Let's get involved. Again, almost every time we get seated at the table, we've got at least 1, maybe 2 people who aren't in for a full stack, which is always a good sign. Ace-4 off, still a pretty crummy defend here. We're probably just going to fold, I would imagine. Defend something like Ace-7 off plus on obviously any suited ace. If Remember Me opens, I'm probably going to go with a 3-bet. As played, min opening the button. Queen 6 off, not going to open. Queen 4 off, we're not going to open on the button. I did say we'd play like, pretty crazy loose, but there's been very few opportunities that is not just... There's a difference between, okay, I want to play loose and aggressive, and there's a difference between I'm just burning money by making poor decisions, But I think we've had a fun 15 minutes here. We are going to call with the 9s on the button. And this could be a fun end to our 15 minutes. We flop a set in a 3-bet pot on King Jack 9. We have run pretty well, I must say. I think raising looks so strong on this board. We can potentially even fold out a hand like ace-king if he has it, whereas if we call, there's potential to get value from that part of his range on later streets. Your man here just shoves all in for a buy-in. We are not folding, and he's got top 2. Let's hold. Wonderful stuff. What a great session this has been. We will call this a video at 15 minutes, and I will be back for part 4 to round off the series, jumping back into these Coral games. Thank you very much for watching, and stay subscribed for more video content.